Sarah, thank you so much for coming today. So excited.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, how are you today?
I'm great. It's a beautiful day in Minnesota. It's Friday, which is always a good day. Yeah, I'm wonderful.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So, for the people that are getting to know you for the first time, you're basically responsible for creating the internet. Is that what you do?
Correct. That's exactly how I would describe it. No, my sort of like my introduction that I give to people at like barbecues and dinner parties is I say that I am a writer and a teacher. And then if they want to know more, I say, well, I write mostly on the internet and I teach about lots of different things. And I usually teach them through online courses or through one-on-one consulting. And then if they're interested, then I'll say, oh, I teach about writing, I teach about online marketing, I talk about finding happiness and money and living your life on purpose. And although, honestly, after about 2 minutes, people are like, okay, I'm bored, you can stop talking now.
But I've totally been sucked into your work. I mean, when I watch what you do consistently, that's overwhelming because it's just so much work. And I'm so thankful because most of the stuff you do is given away. I mean, you're just doing such a big thing for your community. And I just got an email this morning, and it's going to be one of my favorite things to read today because I know it's always filled with. Yeah, thank you. I know it's always filled with things that I can just take right away and act on. Or if I don't know exactly what it is, I know you've taken the steps to say, okay, then go here, go here, go here. So if anybody's not on Sarah's list, you need to join because if you need to get people to your website and if you want to learn how to write better, whew, oh my goodness, so amazing. So you have all that in your brain. You have been doing marketing for a few years now.
Yes, well, my professional background before I started blogging, I've been getting paid to write since I was 20, and I also got my start working in marketing, which I always feel like it's important to be honest about that because, like we talked about, like I know that you have a background in fitness and sports, and if you didn't tell me that and we played tennis, I would feel really bad about myself. So I feel like it's important to be honest with everyone that I sort of came to the internet with the deck stacked in my favor.
You still had to do it. You still had to execute.
I still had to do it. I still had to like find the gumption to write all the time and publish all the time.
And you're doing it. I mean, I look at it because I'm creating all the content just like you've been telling me and teaching and showing through example, through example. And it's a lot of work. I mean, it really is. So I studied with this guy down here. He owns an entrepreneurial academy. And he always, his thing, his ideas are shit. Execution is everything. So
it's true.
Whenever new entrepreneurs come into his facility, they're always a little like hiding their paperwork and a little more tentative to tell people. And then you start to get out there and you realize like, holy shit, it's a lot of work. So
yeah,
there's most of the people you tell your idea to, they say it's a great idea. They're never going to do it. So
no,
it's a lot of work.
Yes. Yeah. My husband always says that talent is a dime a dozen. Like that, talent is what gets you in the door. Hard work is what gets you in the room.
Oh, smarty pants. That's a good one. So let's go back to that wonderful day about 2 weeks ago when we were finishing up our Skype call, and I was telling you about the webinar that you had. Put your money where your happy is.
Put your money where your happy is. Yeah.
I always switch that up. Put your money where your happy is. And you said this thing. First off, it called me out. But then it made me think about all my clients and one of the things they do to try to trick themselves into getting results. And you had talked about how tools don't get the thing done. And I am so guilty of this. I bought a way too expensive camera because I was going to make the YouTube videos. There's probably 5 of them. I was wondering if you could expand a little bit about that because my audience is newer entrepreneurs or people that have been doing it for a while and are looking to get a little bit more tech savvy. What do you find that people do there where they get the idea, they put the resources financially, but maybe not the emotional part behind it? Maybe they're not ready for it.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. Well, so I teach a lot about money and happiness. And I think a lot of the mistakes that I see people making in finances and in the sort of personal finance industry and even in the entrepreneurial industry is we don't understand why we're making the decisions that we're making, and we don't understand what decisions and what things actually move the needle. So a lot of us think that like if we use a certain type of budgeting software, if we use coupon codes, if we use this tool with our dogs, if we use this muzzle, if we use this treat, that's going to be the solution. That's how we're going to solve the problem. When in reality, like if I am buying things instead of feeling my feelings, no number of coupon codes and no amount of budgeting software is going to change that. Just like if a dog is acting out because it's frightened or it has attachment issues, or it was abused in the past, like no muzzle or harness or treat is going to change that. You have to get to the why of decisions and behavior before you can make any real changes.
Because I see that so much with my clients where they go to this trainer or see this article, they buy that thing. And one of my mentors always says, you can't solve an emotional problem with a physical solution. It's just not going to work.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
You can't put a lock on the refrigerator. That's not going to help your overeating.
Yeah.
So when you're going through this in the course, is the sections dealing with that first? You would guide somebody to go through that process?
Where do I start?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the first thing that I do is I really encourage people to consider two things about their happiness. One is that almost all of us, myself included, have subconsciously absorbed ideas about what happiness should look like. We get these ideas from our friends, from our family, from society, from social media, and we've all unconsciously absorbed them. And almost all of us subconsciously believe that we will be happier when we earn more money, when we weigh a certain amount, when we look a certain way, when we're in a committed relationship, when we live in a space that looks a certain way, when we have a certain professional accomplishment. And the thing is, like, some of those things are true for some of us, but it is extremely unlikely that every single person in the world will be made exactly the same amount of happy by those things. So I encourage people to really to try to really reconsider where they're getting their ideas of happiness from, because some of those things that we hold to be true are true, but when you peel them back, probably some of them are not true. And the other thing that I encourage people to do is get incredibly specific about what makes them happy. Because a lot of us say things like, oh, time with my friends and family makes me happy. But obviously we all know that like Thanksgiving with your extended family is not the same as like drinking beer with your best friend on the sofa. Those are two very different things. But when you say time with friends and family make me happy, you're putting both of those under the same umbrella. So get incredibly specific about what makes you happy. So once you've figured that out, it's much easier to look at your finances and see if the purchases you're making are in line with the things that make you happy. The big exercise that I have students do, and I know you did this, is I have, and it's crazy what people figure out when they do this, is I have people print out 1 month of bank statements and 1 month of credit card statements. And then you get 3 highlighters, a pink one, a yellow one, a green one. And you go through every single transaction. And if it was a purchase that brought you joy, it's a green. If it's a purchase that is unavoidable, like rent or insurance, it's a yellow. And if it's a purchase that you regret, it's a pink. And then you add up each of those sections, and then you have a hard number for how much money you have spent on things that make you happy, things that are unavoidable, and things that you regret. And I would also say to anyone listening, like, if you try this, and it's very common to have a pretty like emotional reaction to what you discover. So if you get really angry at yourself, or I've even had students cry about it, you are not alone. You're not the first person who's had that reaction. I've had students figure out that they were wasting $2,000 a month on their business. I've had people who came to the class saying, like, I'm living paycheck to paycheck. There's no way I can cut any money from my budget. And then they realized they were wasting $150, $200, $300 a month. I had a woman who's a life coach who thinks of herself as being like very evolved and has a really good self-care practice. And she realized she had spent $27 on herself over the course of a month and hundreds of dollars on her family. So it's an amazing way to actually look at if your spending aligns with your values. And I'm sure that your entrepreneurs could do this, because many of us are guilty of like buying the tool with, 5,000 5-star Amazon recommendations when you don't really need it, or you are buying the thing because it gives you a sense of legitimacy that maybe is hard to find, or you're buying it because everybody else in your industry has it, or you're buying it because it feels like up leveling. Like if you buy the DSLR, that feels like up leveling instead of maybe just learning how to use your iPhone. So it's a mistake that a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners make as well. They buy things instead of really considering if they need them or if they're willing to put in the time to learn how to use that thing to the best of its ability.
And it's funny you picked cameras, because that's one of the pieces of advice I got from one of my friends. Is he said, go buy a really good point and shoot camera, which is the ones without the interchangeable lenses. He said shoot with that for as long as it takes you to realize that this does something that you now need. And once I went to an event and I realized, oh, I wish I could get a little closer. And then and then I was talking to him and he goes, now you found something. So the zoom isn't as far. So use it.
Oh, that's so smart.
And I would go back to your camera analogy again. How many people think buying the DSLR that's a certain type of camera is gonna help them? How about shoot for a month straight on your iPhone and see if it's something that you can do? You already have it, because nobody's gonna penalize you in the beginning for the first month. The quality, no, most people are looking at it going, oh my God, I wish I could put myself out there. Right? That's kind of what they're looking for. So, great advice. I mean, just really take your time and look at, is this purchase actually going to move the business needle forward? Is it something I need right now? Amazing advice. Yeah. And to go back to the red, I have to share this because I think the people will get a kick out of it. I think I told you this. Melissa and I sat down and we did your exercise. We actually did a little bit farther back. We spent $15,000, the two of us, eating out last year. Just two of us. We ate out more times than there are days in the year. So we ate like 396 days out last year. So it's like a couple times a day. Oh my gosh. And to go back, like you were talking about self-care, it was like January and Melissa's been doing spinning a lot and TRX, and she's like, I really want to start getting massages. And we're like talking about it and like thinking about, the finances, all of it, because it always seemed, and then we realized, wait, $15,000, that's over $1,000 a month. So now we've been getting massages once or twice a week because we're like, wait a second, it's in the budget. We're repurposing it. And some of those times we're lazy, and I did red highlight, like, we didn't really need to go out to dinner that night. So it's a great exercise to bring awareness, because it did make me feel the feels. Like I'm like, why did I do that? So
and that's one of the things. So I have, if your listeners are interested, I have a 5-day free boot camp version of the course, which they can get at yesandyes.org/bootcamp. In the full version of the course, what I have the students do is you look at all your reds, and then you look at every single red, and you write down why, to the best of your ability, what you can remember, why you made this purchase and what you can do in the future to avoid it. So I can tell you, and one of the things we also break down is there are 8 common reasons why people make regrettable purchases. And most of us are making regrettable purchases for the same reason over and over, like you've got the same trigger. And my reason for making regrettable purchases is because I go too fast. Like I will make the reservations for the wrong day. I won't measure correctly and I'll get the thing home and it's too big to get through the door. I don't look at the color and I think it's black and it's navy blue. But so when I go through my regrettable purchases, it's not so much anymore, obviously, but it was really easy to see, okay, I made this regrettable purchase because I was going too fast. What can I do next time? Just slow down, Sarah. And I imagine, with your food, you can probably see that a lot of those regrettable purchases are just like, I should have, next time when I'm at the grocery store, I need to buy 2 more frozen pizzas or 2 more bags of salad mix, because then I'll have the food on hand and we'll have stuff in the fridge and I won't need to go out. So it's really, it's simple. It's simple, but it's not easy, if that makes sense, because you have to change your mindset. You have to look at where things are falling apart and figure out what you can change so it won't happen again in the future.
That's what I tell all my clients. I mean, they always get intimidated when they come back to pick up the dogs. Like, oh, what do I have to do? And I'm like, that's the easy part. The doing is easy, right? Not pulling the credit card is easy. Figuring out why you were doing it in the first place, that's the hard part. So, if I say don't pet your dog, that is super easy. Don't pet your dog, no problem. I could do a million other things. I could bite my nails. I could talk to Sarah on the phone. I could write a blog. I could do a million. But why you were going to touch the dog is a whole nother bag of worms. So it's not.
Yeah.
It's, it's
Totally.
not easy, it's not simple. But it's just it's very tricky. So when you're dealing with new entrepreneurs who say, "Oh, it's so expensive to start a new business," here's a perfect example. You can work with Sarah on this course, and you can find that extra couple $100 a month.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I mean, easily. Yeah. And one of the other things that I loved about your program is you gave me templates to fight with the big guys. So I call AT&T. I'm like, "Yo, AT&T, $175 a month? I don't think so." And you know what I pay now? $144 for nothing.
I know, it's crazy. Like, it is one of the things that I encourage my students to do is we all, especially with the unavoidables, like, it's easy to, like, it's relatively easy to end the regret purchases, but the unavoidables, so many of us, we put things on auto pay and we forget about it. And we don't realize that the rates went up. We don't realize that, oh, we're not actually using that platform anymore. We're not using that software. So I encourage, or like, we get a new car and our insurance rate should change, but it hasn't. So I create templates for, like, okay, go through all those unavoidables. Do you really need to be paying that much for car insurance? Because I bet you don't. Do you really need to be paying that much for your cell phone bill? You probably don't. And as you probably know, as an entrepreneur, it costs 3 times as much to convert somebody to a new customer as it does to retain a current customer. So every company that you're giving a bill to, they actually have a department called customer retention. And as soon as you call and say that you're thinking of canceling, they will transfer you to the customer retention department, who will then give you a discount because they want to keep you.
Absolutely. It's worked for me. The cable company's a good one. Oh my goodness. Yep. Just automatically call and just say cancellation department. So you can.
Yeah. And they're like, "Oh my God, what do we have to do?"
Just keep me. So that saved me $400 a year already. So thank you very much for that.
Crazy. Yeah, absolutely.
So is there anything else you want to give anybody as you're looking at your finances and you're thinking, I want to start this business?
Well, I would say it is very easy when you are looking at other people in your field with their really beautiful websites and their amazing photos and their, like, custom email address. It's very easy to feel or to convince yourself that you can't or you shouldn't start until you're at that point. That don't let perfect be the enemy of good. And I can also tell you, for the first, probably 5 years of my business, like, I had a Nokia brick phone, I had a Yahoo email address, I used, like, free stock photos, I, had, like, a netbook that cost $200. If I can do it, you can totally do it. It's important. It is more important that you're good at what you do, that you have good customer service, that you're reliable and consistent. All of that is more important than having, like, a $4,000 website. Don't talk yourself out of starting before you. There are tons of cheap and free options, and I can even send you links, Gary, to include in the show notes of free places to find stock photos, how to set up a free website on Wix or on WordPress. There are so many free options. Don't talk yourself out of starting because you're afraid of the upfront costs, because they're much less than you think.
Yeah, as our mutual friend Alex always says, good work always gets found.
And it really, really does.
And the more you put it out there, the more likely it is for somebody to find it. So don't hesitate because you have it at yahoo.com. Just keep doing it. Keep putting it out there because it will get found.
Truly. Like, I think it is simultaneously reassuring, depressing that life is a numbers game. The more blog posts you publish, the more likely it is that one is going to go viral. The more girls you ask out, the more likely it is that one is going to say yes. The more, grad schools you apply to, the more houses you look at, the more jobs you apply to, the more likely it is that you're going to get what you want. So just keep doing good work and putting it out there, and eventually something's going to happen. It's just a rule of averages. I'm not even, like, being woo-woo. It's literally just math.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it tremendously. You are such a valuable resource in my world. Every day or so when I get your emails, I am, like, ready to, just, okay, what can I do better now? I mean, it's just always something in there. So thank you so much. And we will include everything about Sarah in the show notes. And I am looking forward to learning more from you in the future. Thank you so much.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you.
I'll talk to you soon.
Awesome.